In the battle of young stud quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson versus Justin Herbert, Lamar came out on top Sunday. Is Red Hot Baltimore looking like the best team in the AFC? Well, it was another day to forget for Baker Mayfield. Are Baker and the Browns contenders or pretenders? And Patrick Mahomes, Nick, 2 more picks yesterday. That's 1 and another one. That's 2, but the Chiefs did pull this one out. They walked away with the win. Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolf, a very perplexed Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, Kevin Wildes, your guy, Patty Mahomes, Nick. Interception issues. They won, but you cannot deny he's having some interception issues.
You know, I've got to tell you, I think for the first time all year, the Chiefs might be back. Not because they won, but because they won by 18 on the road. And the question is, are the Chiefs in trouble? The Chiefs are back, baby. 21-0 second half. Are they in trouble? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's go. Chiefs are back, baby. All right,
we'll get to the since back Chiefs. We got to start in New England. Game of the week, maybe even game of the season. Cowboys, Patriots. This is a tight one. Oh, look at that from CeeDee Lamb. Dallas was on the Patriots 35. We were in overtime. Dak finds CeeDee for the game winner. It was a monster day for their wide receiver. 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cowboys have now won 5 in a row. Dallas with the wild win. It wasn't all great news, though. After the game, Dak Prescott walked to and from the podium. You see it there in a protective boot on his right foot. He suffered a calf strain on that last play. He'll undergo an MRI today. But he did downplay the injury after the game, saying, quote, "I'm fine." Nick, I'll start with you. You starting to believe the 5-1 Cowboys can win the Super Bowl?
I will answer that question in just a moment, but I do want the audience to know we will get to the Patriots portion of this game during our Moral Victory Monday segment in about 30 minutes. That's when Kevin Wildes will explain to everyone how excited and happy he is about another close loss for the Patriots. Oh, we could have just won if we hadn't lost. But on the Cowboys side of things, listen, I am the chairman of the committee, and the committee had the Cowboys at the top of the NFL. So obviously, I think they have the talent to compete for, get to, and potentially win the Super Bowl. But they are going to be held back by what has been proven to be the most inept game manager, clock manager, situational coach in the entire NFL, and Mike McCarthy, which is why this morning, after a game that I'm sure 25 million people watched, in a season that is pacing to be one of the most watched seasons in recent memory, where we have seen time and time again of Mike McCarthy not being able to tell time, that Broussard, I think the Cowboys should take a page out of the old LeBron James playbook, which is, I know we're in first place, but I also know deep down our coach is going to hold us back, and the right guy for that job is already on the staff. I think the Cowboys should tell Mike McCarthy, thanks, but no thanks, we'll see you later. Kellen Moore, you've been elevated. Dan Quinn is there. He can be the mentor, if you will. He's been a head coach of a team. Because what you see from Mike McCarthy, and last night or yesterday was no exception, with the 4th and 1, we can grind out the clock and kick a shorter field goal. Oh, no, I'll kick a 51-yarder. And then at the end of regulation, not knowing what down it was and calling timeout for the Patriots, you add that to the clock nonsense in week 2 against the Chargers. Week 3, he did it again. Week 1, he kicked a 60-yarder at the half that almost gave Brady 3 points. You can't win a Super Bowl right now, Broussard, with this guy botching things. Kellen Moore is going to be a head coach in the NFL next year. The question is, will it be for the Cowboys or not? I would make him the head coach right now. Mike McCarthy, thanks for your service. It's no longer needed, my friend. And if they did that, I would say the Cowboys are the best team in the NFC by a wide margin.
Nick. I'm almost at a loss for words, but I'm going to figure out something to say. What? How in the world? Wait, all right, look, let me start here. I am not the biggest Mike McCarthy fan. All right, I thought it was a strange hire when they hired him in Dallas. I thought it was a pretty poor hire when they hired him in Dallas. But the fact is, Nick, they're 5-1. And you bring up David Blatt. LeBron James, one of the best players we've ever seen, didn't want David Blatt as a coach. That's an entirely different situation than what we see in Dallas. Who's the LeBron James there? As much as I like Dak, as great as he is, and Ezekiel Elliott, neither one of them is LeBron James, number one, so they don't have the clout to make that type of call that LeBron did. And number two, they're not trying to get rid of him. The players in Cleveland saw through David Blatt and weren't listening to him because they didn't think he had it. Do we see that in Dallas? No. Nick, this is crazy. All right, they're 5-1. How can you say he can't win a Super Bowl when, let me think, he's already won the Super Bowl. And don't tell me the game's passed him by. That was a decade ago. Because when the game passes an old coach by, we can tell. And you know how we can tell? By the record. When Mike Shanahan went to Washington, we knew the game had passed him by because he couldn't win. When even John Gruden, we can even say the game may have passed him by. You know how we know? Because he never had a winning season in his 3 years in Las Vegas. Mike McCarthy, this would be just like the Cowboys. Right now, everything's going smoothly. You got a host of wide receivers who are all very good. And guess what? There's no jealousy. They're pulling for each other. You got two very good running backs who are very good. And you know what? Instead of jealousy, they're pulling for each other. The defense is wildly improved. The offense is top 2 in the league. There's no drama. And let's just create some drama by firing our head coach at 5-1. Yeah. Nick, last thing I'll say is this. I like Kellen Moore, too. But where's the proof he's going to be a good head coach? Didn't Josh McDaniels look like the next great head coach after all his years in New England?
No,
how'd that work out in Denver?
It would be a
Didn't
risk.
Adam Gase look like he's going to be a great head coach after Denver? Matt Nagy going to be great? We don't know. Why am I going to ruin a season right now by just all of a sudden throwing a huge question mark into a smooth thing running? Wilds, I think that's crazy.
Oh, see, I'm in a jam here, Broussard, because I love crazy ideas, but I hate firing guys at 7:35 in the morning on a Monday. So I'm in a tough spot. So I'm going to try to meet Nick in the middle. Maybe he doesn't need to be fired, Nick, and you need to do one of two things. One, just like Dan Campbell has a strict clock management timeout person. Maybe this person is a Harvard-educated football genius. Maybe it's a former player who has spent time crafting up a new model. That's option number one. Option number two is this. Just hire someone, a fan from the stands of your opposing team. Because when I was watching that game, and in the first quarter, Mike McCarthy decides to go for it, you know what I said? Yes, let's do it, McCarthy. Good call. You got to do the opposite of that, what I want. And then when they decide to kick a field goal and miss and leave Dak on the sidelines, you know what I said? Yes, good call, McCarthy. So you have to put a fan in the owner's box, or maybe right next. I could be right next to McCarthy, and he could read my face like, "Wow, do you think we should go for it here, or let Dak, let Dak try to get the first down?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, kick a 50-yard field goal and miss that. That'll work. Do that." So you got to do one or two things, because to Nick's point, Broussard, and I'll throw it to you, Nick. This is going to bite them eventually. We are going to come on this show at some point, and Nick is going to give us a huge "I told you so," and we'll have to be like, "Oh boy, Nick's right again." Ugh. So he is right.
Week 1, end of the first half, 60-yard field goal for no reason against Tampa, gave Brady a chance to score before the half. Week 2, do you guys remember when he didn't call timeout against the Chargers, kicks a 56-yard field goal? Week 3, end of the first half, you have Philly in a 3rd and 24 with a minute 50 left. He never calls timeout. You guys remember the referee walked over to him and was like, Mike,
I forgot about that.
Everyone's asking you to call timeout. Forgot about that? That happened. It was only through 6 weeks. Yesterday, He challenged a play immediately. What are you doing with that challenge? Play you're talking about at the end of the half, and he called timeout for the Patriots at the end of regulation, I think only because he didn't know what down it was. Guys, I understand, Broussard, it's controversial, but Jerry Jones is not afraid to make big moves. And there is another element to this. Does anyone think Kellen Moore is not a head coach somewhere next year? So if you don't make him the head coach in Dallas, you lose him. And I understand Wilds' point.